We're going to talk about that Kemi Badenoch story. A very good morning. Haven't spoken before. Stephen James, award-winning teacher. What does award-winning teacher mean, Stephen? What does that mean?
Oh, it means I got to have a lovely dinner at some hotel up in North Kent from being nominated for some good work.
Why aren't you looking at me? Why are you looking into the distance? You can look at me. I'm down here. Oh, there you are. Good. It's quite frightening.
It's 1,000 yards there. You know, I've got it from teaching.
Stephen, Kemi Badenoch said something overnight that I, as a father, and I know you've got two young daughters, completely agree with. Yesterday, Starmer went on Loose Women and made a huge thing about, you know, we're going to spend £1 billion on dealing with almost like the adolescence drama, you know, misogyny, disrespect to women, which I would like to say at this point, completely and utterly agree with how that has to be dealt with. However, unlike Starmer, I don't think it's the job of the teaching professions. I would respectfully suggest it's the job of bloody parents who are also sending their kids to school unable to clean their own teeth and not potty trained. I genuinely believe that. I've got 6 kids. She says the bigger issue is we need to stop migrants coming to the UK from cultures that don't respect women, but Labour are too scared to have that conversation and thus they're putting this all on teachers. What are your thoughts?
Look, she makes an absolutely clear point on this, and we're always told about this kind of toxic masculinity and, you know, but what in practice this actually means is one group of people getting lectured whilst another group of people are tiptoed around, and ultimately it's white working class boys who are the lowest attaining boys group in schools, and they're treated as default villains. You know, this isn't safeguarding, it's, you know, it's ultimately scapegoating, and, you know, you don't reduce violence or misogyny by blaming a demographic. You reduce it by targeting that behaviour when it's seen, and you deal with it there and then, and it's dealt with through consequences, not through targeting a whole demographic. Because what you do is you push them further into this kind of you know, so-called toxic masculinity, which, you know, I'm sure Andrew Tate will be blamed for, and this will take the form of PowerPoints saying how awful he is. And, you know, what we need to be doing is really questioning ministers and asking them, right, well, what is toxic masculinity? Come on, define it for me.
As a teacher, and teachers will get a hard time from all sorts of people, and I've given my 2 penny worth on occasion, but I'm beginning to understand, certainly at this, I don't consider it the teachers at my son's schools to teach them how to treat a woman. But I told a story half an hour ago, which I'm just telling you father to father, about the lift here at News UK, and with one woman, 17th to the first floor, doors open, I say after you, and she looks at me and goes, what, because I'm a woman? So there are mixed messaging. I'm not interested in talking about Andrew Tate. I'm not interested in that, right? I was brought up to treat women with respect, to open a door, to let them go first. Some people would view that now as, oh, you're being disrespectful. I don't. I'm not changing the way my old man taught me to treat a woman. His marriage lasted 60 years because he treated my mother correctly. What I would love to know from a teacher is, it's not your responsibility to teach my young 6-year-old. It's mine, isn't it?
Absolutely. Right. Everything starts at home. You spend the majority of your time with your parents and your family.
Yeah.
And schools are often kind of given the responsibility of sorting out all of society's problems. But absolutely, you're a credit to your father that you're still doing that, and that you're ultimately role modelling to your own children, which is what it is. You're role modelling. You're doing it through actions. That you're doing the right thing. You're showing respect through your actions. And that's exactly what I did as a teacher. I would always open the door. I'd always let a lady go through first. I'd proudly stand up in class and say, you know, we'll let the girls go out first to the boys. And why shouldn't I? That was brought up in me too, and that's me showing.
Do you get grief within your profession for that? Do you get told that you're stereotyping or virtue signalling and all these bloody words I don't understand?
Probably, but I tend not to listen too much, and it's through school you'll encounter all sorts of types of teachers, and in your school career, be that, you know, 10 years as a student, you'll meet people from different backgrounds, from different political views, from different religions, all sorts of things, and your interactions with those teachers teach you a lot about them as people, but also society. Right? And schools and teachers should ultimately reflect society, just like the police force and the armed forces. And we should be, you know, pushing our values as a British nation and our British values of, democracy and kind of things like selfless commitment, those sorts of things should come through your actions as well. You don't have to stand up in front of a class and go, well, here's a PowerPoint about, holding a chair out for a lady as she sits down, helping her on with her coats. You don't need to do those things, because those things should be implicit. They're things you do day to day as a person. And children are very, very astute. They pick up very, very quickly. Yeah. If as an adult I was being rude or inappropriate to another adult, regardless of gender, if I was rude to another male teacher, they'd be like, oh, God, Mr. James, that was not appropriate. And they would call me out on it. And, rightly so. And it's those sorts of things that make you proud. And I'm sure you, again, as a father, if your children were to call someone out for saying, look, that behavior wasn't appropriate, it'd make you feel proud. And it does with my children, certainly.
I'm obviously going to say the wrong thing here. You sound far too full of common sense to be a teacher. I'm surprised you haven't been absolutely cancelled and slaughtered by now. I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that parents have to take responsibility. I don't think it's down to a teacher. I